Hello everyone, I'm Steve Grizzetti, the man from Movie Picks and author of the Movie Picks Guide to Adobe Premiere Elements, and here we are in Premiere Elements looking at some of the tools in the program. In this particular session, I want to focus on a tool called the Pan and Zoom tool. It's an easy-to-use tool for creating pan and zooms across photos, Ken Burns effect. It has some advantages, namely that it's very easy to use and semi-automatic, but it has some disadvantages also. I find it a very frustrating tool, and I prefer to work without it, but I want to show you how to use it and then how to work around it. And then in another session, I'm going to show you how to do basic keyframing where you can do it manually and create these pan and zooms that are much better and much more powerful. But let's look at the tool itself here. I'm going to select a clip on the timeline. It's this picture of this boy and his grandpa. I'll select it on the timeline, go over to the toolbar on the right, select the toolkit, and from the toolkit, we'll select pan and zoom. This is the default setting that the program sets up for you in the pan and zoom area, in the pan and zoom workspace. You notice what it does. Number one, it takes your 5-second photo and it turns it into a 7-second photo. It does that by adding a 1-second pause at the beginning of the timeline and a 1-second pause at the end of the timeline. So it's expanded the length of our photo. It's also created its own pan and zoom based on faces in the picture. So a close-up of this man's face, a close-up of this boy's face. Those are the two keyframes, or the starting point and the end point for your pan and zoom. It looks absolutely awful. Here's what you get automatically with the pan and zoom tool. I'll click the preview button in the lower right-hand corner. We start with a close-up of the man's face on a pause, go to the little boy's face, and we pause. It's all rezzed out. It looks terrible. It doesn't look natural at all. We don't see any of the periphery here in the picture. So how do we get rid of that? Well, the first thing I want to do is go down to the lower left-hand corner of the workspace and go to Settings. Click on the Settings button and change hold time from 29 frames, which is 1 second, to 0. We don't need that hold time at all. Click OK. Notice it's still there. We'll get rid of it in a second. Go to the lower left-hand corner and click the Reset button. Reset. And those hold times at the beginning and end on each keyframe are gone. That's a universal setting. It won't be there later on when you're using the program or when you're using this tool. That's good. Good riddance to it. Now, what about the starting frame and the ending frame? Now, they're based on faces in the picture, but we can correct that. Let's make sure that our playhead is at the very beginning of our timeline, and it is. I'll click on the face of the grandpa, and then I'll just drag on the corners here to widen this out. Now, there are limitations on how you can create these keyframes or these positions for the pan and zoom tool. Notice that it can only go to the width of the photo. So I'm not going to be able to get the top and bottom of this picture because my video frame is wider than it is tall. But this will be my initial starting keyframe or the beginning of my pan and zoom for this photo. Now I'm going to move the playhead all the way to the end of that little timeline. And we'll create our closing keyframe. And I'll do that by clicking on the face of the little boy to select that frame. And I'll just widen that out a little. So we're going to start with the wide shot of the boy and his grandpa. And then we'll end with a close-up of their faces. And now let's put our playhead back at the beginning. And I'll click the preview button and tell me this doesn't look a lot better. So we start with a wide shot and slowly zoom in on the faces of the boy and his grandpa. When we're done, we click the Done button and we go back out to our timeline. That's a vast improvement, but I think you're actually working against the tool, and many of the automatic features built into the tool are actually working against you as you create these pan and zooms. I think this is a much better pan and zoom that we created virtually from scratch. But like I said, if you want to know how to create your own from scratch without using this tool, look for my tutorial on basic keyframing. I'll show you how to create this same effect, only much better and in a much more versatile way, and you'll be able to really take control of the idea of creating your own pan and zooms. So if you want to know more about all these tools and about basic keyframing, I take you step by step in my book, as well as in my tutorials. I hope you'll check them out. And I hope you'll check out my book. It's available on Amazon.com. The Movie Picks Guide to Adobe Premiere Elements. I'm Steve Grizzetti. I'm the author. Thanks for joining me, and I hope to see you again real soon. Take care.